Thank you for joining our guest lecture series on SDGs today. And before we start our agenda, let me inform you some rules for this event. First, please fill your attendance at bit.ly/attendance_GLS SDGs, and our committee also send the attendance link in the Zoom chat room. Second, participants who wish to ask questions during the Q&A session, please send your question to the link that listed on the Zoom chat room, or you can ask directly by clicking the raise hand feature. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for today's session, we will got the topic development of instructional materials using digitalized and indigenized research materials, development of culture responsive activities, and building partnership whose dream should be fulfilled. That will be delivered by our speaker, Mr. Michael John Tagadiad from Bukidnon State University, and also Miss Dr. Ellya Zulaikha from ITS, and will be moderated by Miss Gita Widibawika MMT from ITS. Okay, before we start our lecture today, let me deliver our schedule today as follow. The first is lecture from Mr. Michael John Tagadiad, and the second is lecture from Dr. Ellya Zulaikha, and the third is Q&A session, the fourth is certificate awarding, and the fifth is closing. Okay, before we proceed to the lecture, let me introduce our moderator today. So our moderator today is Miss Gita Widibawika MMT from ITS. She had some professional experience being the head of Business and Technology Innovation Laboratory in ITS, and also certified supply chain analyst in CACA. Okay, without further ado, let's proceed to the main agenda to Miss Gita Widibawika MMT. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ellya, for having me as a moderator. My name is Gita Widibawika. I am a moderator today. So I will moderate this session. And before we started our first speaker, let me introduce our speaker. The first speaker is Michael John Tagadiad from Bukidnon State University. He has graduated from English language in Bukidnon State University in 2016 and continued his study in similar department in Bukidnon State University and graduated in 2020. And he also, as an instructor, first Bukidnon State University from 2017 until now. And he also a member of ASEAN Creative Research Association from 2018 until 2019. And he also taught several courses, such as linguistics, Bukidnon Cultural Studies, Technical Writing, and English Grammar and Language Thinking Skills. So let's go on to our second speaker. Our second speaker is Dr. Ellya Zulaikha. She from Institute Teknologi 10 November. She graduated from Institute Teknologi 10 November in Industrial Design in 1988. And she continued her study in Institut Teknologi Bandung and get a Master of Art in 2003. And finally, she graduated as Doctor of Philosophy in Collaborative Design Learning in Queensland University of Technology, Australia in 2015. She is an Associate Professor in Department of Industrial Design ITS and also our Vice Dean of Faculty of Creative Design and Digital Business ITS. She also member of Indonesian Industrial Designer Alliance. She expertise in industrial design, participatory design, and design thinking. So, we can go on to our first session. Let's Mr. Tagadiad. The time is yours now for our first session, entitled Development of Culture Responsive Activities Using Digitized and Indigenized Resource Material. Okay, Mr. Tagadiad.
Hello, thank you very much, Miss Gita, for
Hello.
that very warm introduction about me. All right, can you hear me clearly, everyone? Ma'am, Miss Gita.
So, yeah,
Okay,
we can hear you
so
clearly.
let me start by sharing my screen. Selamat sore semuanya. I am Michael John Tagadiad. I am a faculty under the Language and Letters Department of Bukidnon State University. Okay, so I am here today. Before that, I am sending my warmest greetings to all the participants who are joining us today. Thank you very much for joining. And I would also like, to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the host institution, the ITS, for having me here today to serve as one of the lecturers for this guest lecture series on SDGs. Okay, my topic for today, my presentation is we'll talk about development of culture responsive activities using digitized and indigenized resource materials. Okay, why? Why digitize and indigenize resource materials? And why integrate this in developing culture responsive activities? Well, because I myself, I am an IP member, of one of the community in Surigao, the Kamayo people, or the Kamayo community. And I'm also an advocate of culture preservation, the love, the strengthening of this indigenous knowledge is vital to keep the vitality, right, of culture, because me is one of the future generation of the vitality of this community. Okay, and why I use technology? Why? Because nowadays this is the 21st century, and we have these skills required. What? These skills required for 21st century learners, and that involves what? Ability to use effective, or the effective use of technology, or the integration, effective integration of technology in the classroom. And I also would like to emphasize this development of culture responsive activities, or in general, culture responsive instruction, because as a teacher, I do not want my student to remain incompetent and confident, right? Because this certain concept, this kind of concept, this approach, culture responsive instruction, will allow the students, no, will allow you students and the teachers, if we have teachers here today, to do your part as partners, okay, in attaining the learning goals. Now, before I will start, I'm gonna ask these questions to you. I'm gonna throw some questions to all of you, especially to the students. Does your learning environment allow you to express freely your ideas, being who you truly are without inhibitions? Second, do the classroom or course activities allow you to take an active role in the learning process, making you as a what? As independent learners. And lastly, does your classroom offer you a chance to access cultural stories that will nurture you, to appreciate cultural diversity, making you culture sensitive individuals? So that's it. Now for this presentation, these are the following topics that we're going to talk about. First, the digitization and its related concepts. Next to that is the criteria to measure effective digitized or digital material. Next to that, culturally responsive instruction. Next, culture responsive activities. And lastly, is about the criteria to measure culture responsive activities. Now, let me reiterate the fourth Sustainable Development Goal of the United Nations on quality education. The United Nations envisioned that by 2030, the appreciation of cultural diversity and culture's contribution to sustainable development are mainstreamed or integrated, okay, in a curriculum and in student assessment. Now, one initiative that supports this goal is the integration of indigenous culture or indigenous knowledge in a curriculum or in a classroom through an effective use of technological tools. Now, one significant venture on integrating indigenous culture, or let's say indigenous knowledge, using technological tools is digitization. And this digitization resulted to the production or creation of digitized materials. Now, talking about digitized material, I have a sample here that I'm going to show you. And this digitized material is titled Nanangan Pinaagi ki Maria, or in English, the story about Maria. This digitized material is produced by our graduate under the program Bachelor of Arts in English Language here in Bukidnon State University. And this indigenous literature, or this folktale being used as the subject of this digitized material, is owned by the Higaonon indigenous community here in our province, Bukidnon. Okay, this Higaonon community is one of the seven existing indigenous cultural communities here in our province. Okay, but I'm not going to end this. I will just give you a glimpse of this video or digitized material to give you a glimpse or to expose you the kind of material that I am using, that I'm talking about.
sa buah habahi mailing ki Maria. Aman si Maria, mamimipian lamang habahi. Basapian sa amay din, kabulog si Maria na hari sa amay din. Aman si Maria, duminiya tawahid na mipi. Pagulihayan si Maria na naha din sa bayabas na huminapit dayon doon. Migluglugo din tayan hakadadatan. Pagkadun din tayan habayabas na nimo doon. Pangpangaon si Maria, wada tungkay kalugay o pagpangaon si Maria.
Okay, so that's it. That's it for a sample. That's a sample of a digitized material. And sorry for that, for the quality. There is no synchronization between the subtitles, the videos, and the narration because of the connection. And so sorry for that. Okay. Now, I have here the concept digital storytelling. This concept, digital storytelling, is one relevant or one specific concept which realizes digitization. Okay. Now, according to Robin in 2006 and in 2008, this material, this digital storytelling, is the combination of digital graphics or images. Okay, next, audio narration or voiceover. Next, video. Next, text, and music or audio. Okay. Now, one relevant subject or content in creating digital storytelling is what? Guess what? It's indigenous literature like folk tales. Okay. Now, what is indigenous literature? Have you encountered this concept? Have you met this concept before? Okay. According to Janke in 2002 and Ryerson University and Archives in 2017, indigenous literature is a literary work produced by indigenous people, which is very important in the transmission of their customs, their beliefs, their traditions, and historical accounts. And usually, indigenous literature is written in the form of a what? A poetry, a folklore, or a folk tale. Now we have concepts here other than poetry. We have folklore and folktale. Do you think they're the same? Do you think these two concepts, folklore and folktale, are the same? We'll see about that. Folklore, according to my study or according to my research, folklore is a collection of traditional stories of a community, which includes arts, songs, dances, sayings, myths, legends, tales, stories, beliefs, superstitions, and practices. And these constitute cultural heritage. Okay, so when you say folklore, it's a broad category. Okay, it's a collection. And when we say folktale, folktale is a particular subset of folklore. Okay, that refers to the stories that were passed down from generation to generation, which constitutes indigenous oral tradition. So this means that folktale is under folklore, okay, under the category folklore. Now we have here the thrust, okay, the initiative of UNESCO, or the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. What do they say about the use of indigenous knowledge, such as indigenous literature, or to be specific, indigenous stories? Okay, well, according to UNESCO in 2010 and in 2017, the use of indigenous stories as educational resources drive and enable sustainable development, because these stories depict culture. They depict culture to enhance what? Access to education and to ensure more indigenized curricula, materials, and teaching methods. Now, through this initiative, the use of indigenous stories will nurture the youth, especially you students, those students here with us, on the appreciation of cultural diversity. Because even here in the Philippines, and also there in your country, Indonesia, it's varied when it comes to culture. Okay, the culture is diverse in every country, and that is why we need to inculcate the mind of the students, you students, to appreciate cultural diversity. Okay, now what is this digital storytelling as an educational tool? Is this important? Is this relevant today? What do you think? Now, digital storytelling is a novel or a new digital media tool used to deliver instruction as a way of reinforcing deeper understanding, because it provides a comprehensive presentation of idea. Why or how? It's because of the combination of the digital media tools such as images, audio narration, video, text, and music accesses or stimulates the different or your different learning style facilities. Okay, we have the visual, the verbal, auditory, and kinesthetic, right? Also, the unique combination of those digital media tools increases your what? Engagement. Why? Because a conversational style, audio narration, and the colorful, vivid representations are provided. Okay? Other than that, the presence of these vivid representations, which reflect reality, the real context, the real scenario, allows you students to reflect and eventually advance deeper learning on the context or the content being transmitted. Okay, the content of that digital storytelling. Now, significantly, okay, this digitized material is not only limited for teachers' use, all right, but it would also serve best for you students as an effective tool to contribute in the successful attainment of the learning goals, especially in what? In generating and discovering new knowledge. Okay, can use that in your academic endeavors. Let's say requirements and other things that you might find this digital storytelling or digitization effective and applicable. Now, I have here just basic digitization phases, or how is digital storytelling created. Okay, so I'm gonna share you just the basic phases. Okay, so first, what is the first phase of digitization? It's more likely a phases on animation. First, we have illustrating. What is illustrating? What do you do during this phase? During this phase, you will create, you will sketch or draw static images. Static, okay? Still pictures, still images. Static, not moving. Images of objects or characters. Those characters depicted in the text. Just like that digitized material that I've shown you earlier, it uses a text that serve as the basis in what? The illustration or portrayal of the characters. Okay? Next to that, we have framing. So what is this framing? What do you do during framing phase? Well, you will sequence. Okay? You will put those static, those still images or illustrations into sequence or into a series. Why? To create the appearance of motion pictures. So there will be a movement. Though those are just still images, but when you sequence them, no, when you sequence them, they will create, or that will create motion pictures. Okay, just like here in the presentation, in the framing, first, second, two, third, and the last action. There shall be framing for that series, okay, or sequence. Next to that is we have weaving. What is weaving? It's like sewing, okay? It is combining all together the relevant digital media tools that you are going to use or that you will incorporate in your video, right? These are images or illustrations, those series of frames, okay? Those static or still images or illustrations. Next, the audio narration. Next, video clips or videos, if there are any, okay? Next, text. And of course, the background music, audio, all right? Or any other audio, maybe effects, sound effects that you need to use, okay, when creating or developing a digitized material. Now, as for the final stage, we have rendering. What is rendering? What do you do? This serves as the final stage because it is the process of getting the final weaving phase of the applicable digital media tools to realize the final output ready for viewing. Okay, so it's like after that, also during this phase, you will convert that raw data or data into a final output of your video ready for viewing. Okay, so that's it for digitization concept. the use of digital storytelling as the basic or yes, the relevant concept in realizing or in creating digitized material or digitization. Now, let's move on to the cultural. Before that, I have here as well the criteria to measure effective digitized material. But these are just suggested, all right? Suggested criteria. Maybe you have your own criteria there in your locale or in your institution, okay? First, the length of the digitized material is less than 6 minutes, which is the median engagement time for videos. Next, the digitized material uses a conversational style which encourages you, students, to develop sense of social partnership with the narrator that leads to greater engagement and effort. Okay, sorry. Next, the narrator or the voiceover speaks relatively and with enthusiasm, which maintains your engagement with the lesson. Okay, next, the digitized material is packaged with what? Printed text outside the video or the digitized material to contextualize them for the particular use for which it is being used. Okay? Next, the digitized material provides an illustration and or animation of the story of the text. Okay? Excuse me. Not only to promote student or your understanding, but also your engagement with the lesson. Okay? Next, the digitized material provides narrated illustrations and or animation. Then now what? Again, to give you dual and complementary streams of information to what? To increase your retention and ability to transfer information. Okay? Next, the digitized material uses on-screen text or symbols to highlight important information and to help you, students, direct your attention, targeting only those what? Important or particular elements of the story. Okay? Next, the digitized material eliminates pieces of information such as music, complex backgrounds, or extra features. Those features that do not contribute to the achievement of the learning goals. Next, the digitized material enhances classroom instruction and promotes visual, verbal, and kinesthetic learning, higher level thinking, and problem solving. Next, and lastly, the digitized material delivers instructional content, including the presentation of idea, illustration of the procedure, and reinforcement of understanding. So these are the suggested criteria to assess whether the digitized material used by your instructors or your professors or in the classroom is effective. Okay, or following provisions or standards, certain standards. Now we have culture responsive activities. To realize culture responsive activities, its development, the development of these kind of activities is based on the concept of culturally responsive instruction, or CRI. Okay, culturally responsive instruction. Now, what is this? What is this approach? What is it to you as students? What is it? What is it to you as teachers? What is the use of this approach? Why do we need or maybe consider integrating this approach in the learning process or in the classroom? Why? Because CRI, or culturally responsive instruction, is a student-centered approach which promotes independent learning. Okay, and not just independent learning, but also culture sensitivity. Not just that, but it also offers a welcoming and an affirming learning environment. Now, about these concepts, these sub-concepts, it allows you students, to freely express your ideas in front of the class. Because why? You are taught to recognize and to respect others' viewpoints. Okay? Next, it also promotes teacher-student relationship. Now, what does it mean by this? Promoting or promotion of teacher and student relationship. What is it? Is it intimate or what? No, it's academically. The academic relationship between you and your teachers or professors. This means that you and your professors are not considered or not enemies. You're not enemies, but what? You are partners in the achievement of the learning goals. You are partners. You need to remember that. You're not enemies, but partners. Now, because of that concept and that provision of this approach, you students increase or would increase your sense of self. Sense of self to confidently and actively contribute in the learning process. No, you're not a passive learners. You are active learners, not passive. Okay? You are performing. You're not just relying to your professors, to your instructors, okay, or mentors. And then it allows, no, because you can confidently and actively contribute in the learning process, that allows you to become what? To become independent learners, active learners, not passive learners. Okay? And finally, it gives you students, okay, remember this, the opportunity, an opportunity to access indigenous knowledge, your own indigenous knowledge there in your locale, to strengthen the integration of your indigenous knowledge in your classroom, in the curriculum or in your curriculum, okay? Such as cultural stories. Why? Because through this, it's a way of nurturing you to appreciate cultural diversity. And when you appreciate cultural diversity, understanding that includes understanding and recognizing or judging the culture based on their culture and not based on our culture or based on your culture, but based on their culture. We call that culture relativism. Okay, and that makes you as well culture sensitive individuals. All right. Now, I have here some criteria, again, suggested criteria. I use these criteria, I developed these criteria as one of the instruments of my master's thesis. These are just suggested that you may, or that may help you assess the kind of learning environment or classroom that you have, okay? Or to help you, to assess you, to help you to become active learners, okay? First, especially your activities or your assessments in the classroom. Now, the activities allows you to learn freely as individuals who have unique identities. Next, the activities enable you to recognize, not just recognize, but also respect others' viewpoints. Okay? Next, the activities capacitate you to demonstrate active interpersonal skills. Okay? You can converse freely with your classmates, with your mentors, professors, okay? And also through, especially through group dynamics. Okay? Next, the activities provide you a welcoming and affirming learning experiences to express yourselves with no inhibitions and constraints. Okay, by the way, these criteria are based on the concept culturally responsive instruction. Next, the activities drive you to extend support affirmative to a certain community. So this means that culturally responsive instruction will allow you to become an advocate, okay, to help, to extend help, support to your community, not just your institution, not just your classmates, but to reach out as well your community. Maybe you have your extension project, okay? Next, the activities prompt you to take an active, okay, not passive, being a passive, but active or independent role in the learning process, okay? And next to that, the activities provide you an access to cultural stories that reflect significant cultural identity or background. Okay, next to that, the activities enable you to understand culture by learning oral traditions such as folktales and any other forms of indigenous literature, not just folktale or not just oral traditions. Next, the activities use wide-ranging visual representations on cultural diversity that support you to respond to culture. Okay, because culture have the contribution for this sustainable development goal of the United Nations. Next, and lastly, the activities integrate words from a heritage language or the use of your local language as a medium of instruction or maybe a medium of communication in your classroom. Okay? So that's it. Now, I am now in the concluding part of my presentation. The first conclusion, the development of culture responsive activities using digitized and indigenized resource materials is one tool to support the United Nations upholds or supports its fourth sustainable development goal on quality education. And lastly, the integration of indigenous knowledge, such as folktales, in learning resources, okay, like the digitized material or culture responsive activities, is hoped to uphold culture's contribution to sustainable development as a way of mainstreaming or integrating them in a curriculum and in the student or in a student assessment. Okay? So now, before I end my presentation, I have a challenge for all of you, not just for the students, but also to the teachers, because the teachers and the students have a vital and a crucial role in the learning process, right? So this is my challenge for all of you. What can you do to support the United Nations in materializing its fourth Sustainable Development Goal on quality education, especially in realizing appreciation of cultural diversity and culture's contribution in the achievement of this goal? Again, what can you do to support the United Nations in materializing its fourth Sustainable Development Goal on quality education, especially in realizing appreciation of cultural diversity and culture's contribution in the achievement of this goal? Terima kasih banyak. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tagadiad, for your fruitful presentation about basic concept of related to digitization using indigenous knowledge and its criteria and also the frameworks. For you, the participant who want to ask Mr. Tagadiad, our session is available after the second speaker, so don't worry, you can drop your question to the link given in the chat box. So we can go on to our next presentation for our second speaker. Please welcome our Dr. Ellya Zulaikha for the second presentation entitled Building Partnership whose Dreams Should Be Fulfilled. So time is yours, Miss. Sorry.
That's fine. Thank you very much, Bu Gita. And also thank you for Mr. Tagadiad. I think I answer your challenge by giving my presentation now. I think it is somehow connected each other, but thank you. That is a very fruitful presentation. I agree with Bu Gita. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is an honor for me to have this opportunity to talk with Mr. Michael John Tagadiad. And also thank you for ITS Global Engagement for organizing this event. I will, can you hear my voice clearly, everybody?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
All right, great. May I share my screen? I will share screen now.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So as you see here, I think I have to. It already mentioned by the committee. I just say that as you see here, my background is industrial design, and recently my research interest is on participatory design. Yeah. In this beautiful afternoon, I will deliver my presentation that is aligned with, this is Mr. Tagadiad. And then my presentation aligned with number 17, although I think it is also have relationship with number 4 as well. So this is about partnership for the goal. Yeah, strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. All right, when we talk about partnership, in order to ensure that the partnership will go well, we need to step back a little. I will show how partnership sometimes nice in planning, but it's quite hard to be implemented. Sometimes we found it is challenging to ensure that both parties has the same vision, the same spirit, and also, this is the most important thing, the same level. Yeah. Otherwise, there can be an inequality situation. Sorry. Deden? Yeah. What happened, Gita? Can I continue?
Yeah, you can continue your question.
Okay, thank you. All right. So, in this presentation, we will investigate together an aspect in partnership, which is about the ownership, whose dream should be fulfilled. All right, everybody. We learn from the pandemic phenomenon. This is a picture about punishment for people who not wearing mask. Have you seen people around you not wear mask? I don't wear mask. I'm in the office, but I'm in an office in one room. Nobody in here except me. Is it also occurred in Philippines? In Philippines, people around you not wear masks. In Indonesia, I mean in Surabaya, I still see a lot of people not wearing masks. Besides the problem of masks, I also found that there are still some unavoidable crowd. Even this picture, people fight to take over the funeral of COVID patient that's supposed to be done by a special COVID funeral attendant. How comes this phenomena still happened? I bet almost all of you know about the importance of wearing masks to avoid the virus. I bet everybody already know that 3M, 5M, whatever. There are a lot of campaign already, almost every time, everywhere, even with using creative local contents. How could it not be effective enough to make people more disciplined? Let us see, let us look deeper. This is what happened. This is just a description about kampung. Usually in a big city, there are close relationship, neighborhood. Just imagine, one of them passed away. They have a very close relationship. Imagine the person who passed away is an honored figure in the community, the most generous one, even the hero of the community. That will be a very upset situation. In that situation, it will be very understandable if it is very hard to avoid crowd. There are many other similar situations. Ask yourself or look around. Is there a moment when you can't avoid to go to a crowd place? Just answer honestly to yourself. Is there a moment when you can't avoid to open your minds while other people around you? Perhaps you talk with someone, but that person can't hear you clearly. So you feel like, open your mouth and then you talk. Is that happened to you as well? Or is there a moment when you can't avoid to go to a market or anything, but you forgot to wash your hand or use hand sanitizer. Is it happened to you? You can raise your hand if it is happened to you. If you say yes, it means you represent other people. This is the reality. Hoping everybody is disciplined is still too far, if I'm not saying an utopia. It needs an alternate approach. People most likely already know the risk of COVID, but when it is related to solidarity, spiritual compassion, they will somehow ignore it. It's beyond the risk. Although later many people just being desperate, perhaps of the never-ending pandemic, so they become ignorant for those COVID rules, although it is not necessarily related to solidarity, spiritual, or compassion. This is Tagadiad, a cognitive neuroscience from UK, saying that if we scare people, it has little or no impact, as we usually decide to shut down from the information told to us and makes excuse in our mind. We seek positive action wherever we can. We will always accept a better view of our future over the negative. So perhaps this can give you a clue. Back to COVID phenomena. Is there any rewards or appreciation for your hard work to follow the rules staying at home? Is it easy to wear masks all the time at home? Is there any appreciation for that? We know other people not wearing masks. It makes the pandemic not finish immediately. But is there any appreciation for them who already disciplined at the beginning? They're struggling to work from home, although it is not easy. They're wearing masks at home, although it is not comfort. Is there any appreciation? So perhaps you can make by your own style. For example, thank you for wearing masks even when you meet your lovely grandchild, or just make your own version of that. So instead of apply punishment, perhaps we need an alternate way of switching punishment into appreciation. No matter if the appreciation is just about very little things. Yeah. For example, someone passed away, and to avoid COVID, some people not coming to their house, to the family house, and then we can say thank you for the people who not coming. Not only say thank you for the people who coming. Thank you for sending your condolences through your sincere prayer from home. You can do like that. What happened now is not like that. If you're not coming to your friend's funeral, it means you're selfish. Yes, before pandemic, this is selfish, but this is pandemic. The situation is different, but people don't have that in their mind now. So my point is about appreciation. Appreciation is like acknowledgement of the existence. And this is the fuel of partnership. I will give you a story of the rural craft project that I did with my friends, with my team in Jombang Glassfit Craft Industry. And perhaps you already know there are rural craft industries, not only in Indonesia, I think all over the world. And previously, this is the main or side job of the villagers that can provide economic welfare and absorb labor, but the numbers of the industry decrease significantly. This is the case. Perhaps I hope you already familiar with Indonesian map. I am here. I am here now, Surabaya. ITS is in here, and the case is about 80 kilometers from Surabaya. I don't know about the students. The students perhaps are around here, and the Philippines is in here. Yeah. Okay, so this is the location of the case study. There are 113 craft industry in there, and it is very easy to find the craft industry because there are many boards saying that manik, I don't know, Tagalog words. Tagalog is Philippines language, isn't it? But in Indonesia, manik means beads, yeah? This is very peaceful, isn't it? So the people make there are many art shops in there, and the craftspeople treat wasted glass. So they treat wasted glasses, yeah, like this, from local scavenger or manufacturers, and they melt it and then formed into glass stick, yeah, using a very high heat, and the glass stick is then heated and circle a metal stick. This is the metal stick, yeah. There are two categories of the glass bead. The fine beads is the fine beads is this is the expensive one, yeah. This is the expensive one, while the simple beads is the cheaper one, because the simple beads is just not complicated. This is a solid, it has solid color, plain, and quicker to produce. People usually make in a high quantity, while the previous one, people usually make it in customized, yeah, in customized. People only make it by order, yeah. However, most craftspeople are copyists rather than innovators. They have no concept of product design. When buyer told them to duplicate, for example, Venetian beads, Lombok beads, or African beads, they just did it without knowing the philosophy of design. Craftspeople got source of design from magazines or internet. They learned that duplicate ancient beads would give a better price. Even one person tried to make trees from beads. Yeah, you know how long to make this. Yeah. Not many people, not many craftspeople produce original design. What is your thought? What is your thought? I want one person, please send me your thought. What you should do with that situation. Just immediate thought. Please, one person, please raise your hand, speak up. I just want to ensure that I'm not talking alone here in front of laptop while you are somewhere. Please, somebody.
Please, the participant.
Yeah, please, somebody. With that kind of situation, what's in your mind? Do you have any idea? Oh, Maria Hansen is in here. Thank you very much, Maria. Yeah. Come on, somebody. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Anybody? Kindly you answer the question.
Or Bugita, do you have some thought? People are afraid to being wrong, I think. Okay, I will just continue then. Continue. Yeah, actually, it's okay. You don't have to worry to make fault. There is no wrong answer. Just answer. I'm not. Do you think I'm quite? I have a scary face. Scary face. Okay. Not wasting my time. I want to continue. What happened here? Why? Okay. I use participatory method before I decide what I should do. Then this is part of my PhD research actually, and my supervisor asked me to do participatory method. And what is the difference between participatory method and other method? Usually this is a researcher who giving knowledge to people, because researcher is considered has a more knowledge than the other. Yeah. So this is one type, while the other type, like in ethnography, researcher observe the participants and taking knowledge from the participants. That is the second type. But the participatory research is not like that. Researcher and participants working together in the same level to produce knowledge. So the result of so after the research, perhaps both parties, whether researcher or participants, both of them doesn't know how the result will look like, because it depends on discussion. So participatory action, participatory research is part of participatory action research. It has roots in Kurt Lewin's action research. Usually it is cyclic, so not like other common research in which it is a linear process from one go process, while in participatory action research it is more like cyclic. Yeah. And it is multiple cycle over time. I inspired with the theory, with the analysis made by Elizabeth Sanders. She is from design department in Ohio State University. She has many experience in user-centered design project, but then she found that our method to understand experience perhaps needs to be analyzed. Yeah, this is what she said. This is usually the method we use to access experience. Yeah, this is the method we use to access experience. We listen what people say. We interpret what people express. We watch what people do. We observe what people use. We uncover what people know, etc., etc. We appreciate what people dream. However, the argument made by Sanders is we only know the surface rather than the deep experience of someone if we only rely on what people say and what people think. Actually, if we can access what people know, what people feel, what people dream, we can access the deep part of people's experience. But how? This is usually the technique used to access what people say, what people think. We use focus group, interview, questionnaires like this. Why the triangle is like this? Because this is a very, very popular method used by the researcher in accessing user experience, However, we only can access people's deep experience if we ask them to make something. This is her argument. And do you still remember that one? Yeah, say, think, do, use, know, feel, dream. In here, we can access explicit knowledge, while below that we can access observable knowledge. However, in accessing tacit and latent knowledge, tacit knowledge is something that is too difficult to say. Yeah, some people are experts on something, but he just can't say it to you. Just let them act, and then watch them while they act to do something. So how to access the tacit and latent? Latent is your obsession, something like that. Your deep desire in your heart. You only can access it if you ask them to make. Because if we only rely on what people say, perhaps it is only the surface, and people sometimes not honest to express their feeling, to express their experience about something. All right, so using those theory, I asked craftspeople, I try to access people's tacit and latent experience by ask them to make something. Yeah, I asked them to make something, and finally I got those are the difficulties that they face. They got some external difficulties because of bid trend, global economic crisis, and imported bids. And this is the hardest part. The conflict among themselves, hijacking skilled craft workers, copying habits, price competition, unsuccessful cooperation. Actually, there was an association, but because of lack of trust, the association lead to conflict. When the money coming, it is very sensitive to conflict. This is what happened. So this is the price competition that makes, for example, at the beginning, the price of one bid is $12, but by the time goes, it fall into $4, while the production cost is $4. So people actually work hard for nothing. So that is the situation in there. So I did participatory design part 1 in, it is a very long time ago, 2011. Yeah, we aim to foster the design capability of the craft person based on the interest of the craft person. While usually this is the pattern that happen in the rural craftspeople, direct design to craftspeople and ignoring craftspeople's interest. While the other extremes is let craftspeople to design freely without assistance. We do in the middle here. This is the design student, and this is me. So this is the first word. There are 6 craftspeople from one group. Actually, there are two groups, but I only show one group of them. We got initial exploration, etc., etc. Let us see here. This is the work from one person. Just call him AT. We asked him to make an initial exploration, and then this is what he did. Yeah, this is what he did. The senior designer coming and make an evaluation, and we make a discussion. How about making it into napkin ring? Because by making it into napkin ring, you can sell it, for example, in a cheap price, but worth it for the buyer. So we try to sell it for $2 in an exhibition in Australia. This is 10 years ago, and it works well. This is the work by other craftspeople. We just let them to make anything they want, yeah. And then this is what he made. The design students coming as a provocator for the craftspeople. Why don't you make it like this? Why don't you make it like that? Yeah. So actually, the role of design students is a provocator. And then this guy is like twisting things. And then it ends up with this design after discussion with senior designer. And this is another examples of the work. This is the initial exploration, and after some refinement, this is the result. But if you see, those designs are coming from their own interest, for their own potential. Yeah, and this is another person who interested in utilized wasted glasses into something, but there is a discussion with senior designers, and then we suggest about how about making this. This is our candle holder, yeah, like that. So the pattern is like this. In initial exploration, this is oh, I forgot to say. So this is the craftspeople, and this is designer, junior designer, and this is the senior designer. Well, in here there is intensive discussion between craftspeople and design students. While in deciding a design concept, design students act more passive, but craftspeople were more active. And this is the evaluation. When the evaluation, all parties actively discussed, while during the refinement, it was done by design students and the craftspeople. So the role of senior designer only in one stage, which is evaluation. So this is the role of design students as a partner for the craftspeople, as provocator, as an assistant, as a mediator, as an evaluator. At the last stage, as a quality control. While the role of senior designer is evaluate the marketability of product and review the production costs and suggest design development. But still, there is some discussion among those three parties. So this is what I mean. Foster the design capability of the craft person based on the interest of the crafts person. After those participatory design project, I found that there are some groping tendency in the community. Although those are craftspeople, and I found that those craftspeople have a grouping tendency with these craftspeople, and even there are some solitaire craftspeople. It is quite interesting because we also can find that although it seems similar, actually craftspeople has their own potential. There are some craft designer and craft maker and craft entrepreneur. However, only 3 craft designer. One of them has those 3 skills. 2 of them has the skill of craft designer and craft maker. Most of craftspeople have craft entrepreneur skill and craft maker skill. Yeah, this is important because when we suggest an advisory programs to craftspeople, actually we have to consider what is their passion. For craft entrepreneur, it is very hard to ask them to develop design because this is not just their passion, although they are craftsperson. Yeah, so this is the participatory design part 2. I only have 7 minutes left. Okay, this is 1 year later. Because we found that there are so many crafts entrepreneurs, then we discuss with the crafts people in a weekly basis until a month, and then it ends up with the promotion of the glass bead into the local buyers around the industry. Yeah, we promote to the high schools because millennials at the moment, yeah, millennials seems they have a very good word of mouth, spreading the information to their family in their house. We goes to 5 high schools, and then it's quite well because it can raise the awareness about the existence of the industry, as well as seeking local buyer who appreciate the uniqueness of the glass bead compared to the plastic imported ones. Yeah. It has been long time after that. I'm very sorry because there is no significant development for the industry. But then I indebted to this person. This is Professor Andy Dirden, who invited me to come to Zulaikha University after he reviewed our previous participatory design project. And then I'm so blessed that I met Maria Hansen. Maria Hansen is in here. Hello, Maria. Thank you for coming in this lecture, and this guest lecture.
Hello, Ellya.
Thank you so much, Maria. Maria is a researcher and designer and lecturer in Zulaikha University. And I was invited in there to talk about the glass bead rural craft industries. And then it ends up with CCS project, Connect and Sustain. Yeah, that is the first project in 2017, but then we continue in 2019. This is Maria Hansen and Laura. Okay, this is an entrepreneur, a leading network of independent fair trade shops in UK, and one alumni of industrial design in ITS Surabaya. We work together with the participatory design project in Jombang for 3-day workshops in there. This is the situation of the workshops. It happens in Jombang. It started with material sensing. So using design thinking method, we believe that anything around us is an inspiration to develop a jewelry design. This is to stimulate the idea from our daily things. Participants were asking, so stage 1, participants were asked to develop a necklace for a giant. So we buy those things in the supermarkets, in fruit sellers, yeah. But we ask people not think this is food, just think this is bits, yeah. Think about the character, yeah. So we ask people to make a creation on a paper. Then we evaluate the design. It is interesting to find that most of participants at the beginning make a symmetric composition like this. And then the designer gives suggestion, act as a provocator, and challenge craftspeople to make an asymmetric composition. And some designs were too monotonous, while other design did not meet unity, but this is fine. Yeah, this is fun because this is about experiments, yeah? So this is the situation during the workshop. So the evaluation coming, and designer and craftspeople discuss about not to use many components. For example, the maximum of 3 and how to make an impressive repetition. Coincidentally, fortunately, Laura is a trader, so she knows the trend and products that meets market needs. And this is the result. We evaluate the design. It is, craftspeople were challenged to weave these components into necklace or other accessories. And then here is the result. Yeah. So craft people are asked to take the existing beads with similar characteristics to the prototypes, and then combined with metals. There is some metal woodworking as well. And we have a mini, another discussion happened. And then we have a mini exhibition as well. This is the result of the mini exhibition. So this is 3-day workshops. Yeah, this is the story of Jombang project. The clue is we try to promote the design potential of the Jombang class with craftspeople by the design thinking approach. This is a common pattern. We want to compare what we did differently with other common research project. This is the common pattern of decision making. For example, we're hungry, and this is the solution, linear. While in design thinking, for example, in double diamond design thinking project, this is what happened. This is the difference. Explore during discover and explore during develop. So instead of asking people to only have one option, instead of just top down, we give people some option. Okay. So design thinking is about understanding context and do not rush to decide on a solution, and it expands possibilities. Plus, participatory design is about consider the self-help potential. Some notes. The efficiency trap. I know participatory design at the beginning seems not efficient because it needs long time for understanding situation. But please be careful with fake participation. This is what I call stream to be fulfilled. We found that the challenge is transferring ownership of the project. I would like to show you where the partnership is. There are many levels of participation in which the first and the second level is a passive participation. This is stated by Einstein. This is a very popular Einstein's ladder of participation. While another level of participation is responsive participation, which is the most more powerful. They have continued right to decide, but powerless. They still need advice. Partnership is quite high and it's quite challenging. But this is the first level in which the degrees of citizen power is reached. So this is what I said. Instead of giving one option, try to provoke them to give many options and let them to decide. The takeaway, yeah, humble is the starting point. Appreciation beyond judgment of participants' capability, understanding situation, and researcher as facilitator and provocator. Partnership is not about to achieve researcher's dream, but the more important is the people dream. Access people dream. Transfer the ownership of the project to enable the sustainability of the project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bu Ellya, for the very beautiful explanation about participatory design approach and for the case study in Jombang. And we go on to next session for question and answer session. So I will choose 3 questions first for the first speaker. Let's see. The first question from Aurum Chandra. Are you still here, Aurum?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can better ask directly to Mr. Tagadiad.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you so much. So my name is Aurum Chandraneswara from Industrial Chemical Engineering, School of Biometrics of Technology. So my question is, the digitizing does really help students to learn more effectively, especially for those who have visual or auditory learning style. But how can this digitizing help students who have kinesthetic as their style of learning? As we know, kinesthetic style of learning is learning style which takes place or carrying out physical activities rather than listening or watching demonstration. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. So, Mr. Tagadiad, are you still here? Maybe lost connection. Okay, while we're waiting for Mr. Tagadiad, so I will looking for the question for the second speaker. You have a question, Miss Ellya, from Amanda. Amanda, are you still here? From National University of Malaysia. Amanda? Okay, I will read the question from Amanda to Dr. Ellya. How we can build the persistent spirit while we facing all the obstacles, both external or internal? Should we have to insist with our ideology like in the first we build our company, or we have to follow the trend? Thank you. That's the question for you, Dr. Ellya.
So when we face the complicated problems, should we follow the trends or we follow the company? Is that the question, Mugita?
Yeah, yeah. I have put the question in the chat box. Wait.
Persistent spirit while we're facing the obstacles. Yes, that is very, very challenging because at the first time, when I met the rural craftspeople, it is like a very chaotic situation. I don't know where to start. Just keep going. However, the important fuel is positive spirit. By positive spirit, and I don't mind if it is only 1 or 2 or 3 people who can discuss, who keen to discuss with me, and just keep with those 3 persons perhaps, and then we hope he can spread the positive spirit to the others. And then in this case, should I follow the market trends or follow the people's capability? Like I have told you before, we do both. By considering craftspeople's potential, considering craftspeople's passion, then we try to match with the market trends, because, for example, in terms of the quality, in terms of the composition, and also the taste, we still consider all of them because we want them to be successful in the market as well. That is why, we use both, but the difference in here is it is not top down from designer you make this, but we consider craftspeople's potential to find their own passion, to find their own design capability. Then we make a provocation, we facilitate them to design together to make a good design that meet market, that meet market trend. I think that is my answer. Bugita, I want to say hi to Laura Cafe. Laura is in here as well.
Okay.
Hello, Laura. Thank you for coming as well here. Where is Laura? I think.
Hi, lovely to be here. Thank you. Really interesting. Great talk.
Laura and Maria is very inspirational persons. We are in team in Jombang Glass Beads project. Maria and Laura. I think now it is 11 o'clock in UK, isn't it? In London and Sheffield. Thank you for
11 o'clock. Coffee time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we hope that Amanda has read the question and hear the answer. So we go on to next question from our room. Oh, I'm sorry, Michael, have you been here? Michael Tagadiad? Hello, Michael, are you hear me?
Hello, yes, Miss
Okay.
Rita. Sorry, I
Yeah.
can't hear you clearly because of the heavy rain happening today here in the Philippines.
Okay.
Do you have a question for me? May I request or ask you to write instead in the chat box if that's okay with you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's okay. The first question is from Aurum. Aurum has been make a question for you. I will write the question. Wait for a minute. This is the question. So the digitizing does really help students to learn more effectively, especially for those who have visual or auditory learning style. But how can the digitizing help students who have kinesthetic as their style of learning?
I think I can't hear the voice of Mr. Tagadiad.
Yeah, maybe the connection. Are you still here, sir?
Hello, Mr. Tagadiad.
Okay. So
Okay.
thank you very much for this question. All right. The question goes, that digitizing does really help students to learn more effectively, especially for those who have visual or auditory learning style. But how can the digitizing help students who have kinesthetic as their style of learning style which takes place carrying out physical activities rather than listening or watching demonstration? Thanks in advance. I think as one of the benefits of using the digitized material is for deeper learning or for deeper understanding towards students, because the digitized material presents vivid representations or the reality, okay, the concept of reality, the concept of the world, the concept of the culture, which belongs to reality. Now, maybe it's not that direct, but it is one of the impact of the use of digitized material, which will allow the students to translate their understanding, because the representations serve as the what? The representations of the ideas, which allows the students to transform their understanding, for them to take an active role in the learning process, to use the digitized material as their tool in delivering ideas, in delivering concepts, or whatever report they may be conducting, or let's say in generating or discovering new knowledge. That serves as a tool for them, not just a medium of instruction that will be used by the teachers, but it can help them maybe in the project-based learning classroom, use that digitized material instead, other than other learning resources. I believe that's it.
Okay, Augum, is there any comment? I think it's enough.
Thank you.
So we go on to the next question. Thank you. For the next question is to Dr. Ellya from Natalia Farbarova. Maybe you better can ask directly to Dr. Ellya. Natalia, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to ask Dr. Ellya, because I'm really interested in this topic, that are you not worried when you are working with a craftsman that maybe when you are provoking the ideas that you are putting like too much shaping on them, like when you provoke, like some of your ideas stay in their ideas and the originality gets lost? Because as we know, you don't need some, I don't know, like inspiration from other designers. You can create designs on your own. And what I want to ask, if it's not like overwhelming when we cooperate and tell them what designs to make or not to make. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for I think for the feedback. Yeah, when working with craft people and providing the risk of influencing their ideas and shaping, yes, yes. By the time we discuss, it is unavoidable to apa itu to to make them overwhelmed. However, this is, I think, the nature of creativity, because at the beginning of the project, we have to begin with as many ideas as possible. So please, I always tell them not to jump into solution to immediate, yeah, to not immediately jump into solution. At the beginning, we explore as much as possible. Perhaps craftspeople already have some ideas, then by our provocation, perhaps the ideas going more wider. Yeah, and then after that, we make discussion. Usually, it is not make them stressful because it's quite an enjoyable moment when we explore ideas. Be stressful usually during the techniques, yeah, during the technique, when we have something in our mind and we try to make a prototyping and it doesn't work, so we have to change the ideas, but that is normal in design. At the beginning, when we explore ideas, it is normal to make as many ideas as possible and with many sources as possible.
Thank you for your answer.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. It did. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for giving me question and feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalia, from the Czech Republic. Yeah. So we go on to the maybe last question to Michael John Tagadiad. Is from Rosario Gumban, Cavite State University, the Philippines. Rosario, maybe you can ask directly for Rosario Gumban.
Hello.
Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I can
Can
hear
you
you.
hear me?
You can
Okay.
ask the question directly to.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my question to Sir Michael, I just want you to give us some suggestions. If I am a teacher or a lecturer, which having difficulties using these different applications in that technological savvy, what would you recommend if there are no available digitized or indigenous materials or teaching materials for me to use if I am going to conduct my, say, lectures to my students?
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, well, thank you.
All right. So you are asking, ma'am, about maybe suggestive platforms or resources so that you can use in case you cannot handle or there's a downside with the use of technology. All right, or maybe when you're having difficulty navigating these tools, this technology. Is that what you mean, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As a teacher, because there are times that we cannot avoid the downside with the technology, especially say for instance the one that happened to me today. There is this
freezing of the presentation because of internet connection. Sometimes one idea that you may consider is recording yourself, making an interactive video, because if there, in that case, if we have created this in the what do you call this, interactive video, that will serve as you, not replacing you as a teacher, but it would help you to become efficient even with the use of your time as a teacher. Instead of doing it live, delivering your instruction live using the internet connection, and then if there's a time that you can, that your line will be cut off or you will be cut off from the line, then me as a teacher, I have experienced that one. I lost internet connection and I lost the momentum. In that case, when that happened, I somehow, what, mental block. No, there will be instances that I have this problem. So when you have this interactive video, it will help you to reinforce the learning process without the interception of this problem, internet connection. You will just present that video, and right after that video, then you will ask the students some comprehension questions, or maybe the use of digitized, not just digitized when you say digital storytelling, but there are also parts or samples or forms of digitized material. You can have turning your resources, your representations into digital. You can digitize that one, scan that one, and turn them into digital images. Or um, other than that, let me think of another way. I also use before, yes, even now, when you have that interactive video, make sure to put as well subtitles, because not all the students can hear what you're saying. Okay, there's also the need to establish or to provide a subtitle so that everyone who have this difficulty, or yes, difficulty in hearing, they can just read what they're talking, or maybe the concept being discussed. Okay, play images. Yes, it's also photography. It's a good thing to be used as your learning resource material, especially now, given this kind of learners, they're very visual. I mean, they are very active when it comes to visual representations, and that follows hearing and kinesthetic, right? I believe that's it. Just the interactive video, so you can save time instead of doing it live, and then photography, the use of photography or digital images, or digitizing your learning resources into a digital material or digital images. So that's it, ma'am. Thank you very much. I hope I have contributed something.
Okay, is there any comment, Miss Kumban?
Thank you. Welcome, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's enough for question and answer session because the time is up, I'm afraid. Thank you for our speakers for very, very fruitful and beautiful presentation. So I will give back this session to our MC. Thank you for having.
Okay, thank you so much for the speaker and also the moderator for today's session. Okay, furthermore, we would like to present a certificate awarding to our speaker and moderator today. The first one, this is the certificate presented for Mr. Michael John Tagadiad. Okay, and then the second one, this is the certificate presented for Dr. Zulaikha. And the last one, this is the certificate presented for Gita Widi Bawika. Okay, thank you. Once again, thank you so much for Mr. Michael, Dr. Ellya, and Miss Gita for today's session. Before we end our lecture today, we welcome Ibu Oyin as representative of ITS Global Engagement to give little appreciation for today's event. To Ibu Oyin, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ellya. Hello, good evening and good afternoon. Good morning to some participants in European area. Yes, I would like to express my gratitude and also my appreciation for all speakers today from the Philippines, Mr. Michael John Tagadiad, and also Dr. Ellya Zulaikha from Industrial Design ITS, and also to Ms. Gita Widipatwika for conducting these wonderful sessions. Thank you so much for all participants who are joining in the sessions. We're looking forward to having you here in next week in another sessions of GLS SDGs. Thank you so much. I will return this opportunity to the MC.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibu Oyin. Before we end our lecture today, we invite all the participants and also the honorable speaker and moderator to take a group photo. So for the participants, please open up your camera. Okay, we will wait. Okay, right. I will count. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. And the second slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Now we have finished the group photo. Then for the participants, please fill the feedback form through the link bit.ly/feedbackgls that you can also see on the Zoom chat room. We want to remind you the participant who will get the stamp for it and the certificate is the participant who come on time, join this event until the end, and also fill the feedback form. Next week, we will have 2 meetings of the lecture series. The first one with the topic From Urban to Smart City by Utilizing IoT. And the second one is Sustainable Mechanized Agriculture for Research and Technology. Okay, finally, we have reached the end of today's guest lecture series, and we sincerely apologize for any mistake we might have in today's event. Thank you very much for all the speaker, the moderator, and all the participants for today's session. We will see you in the next guest lecture series, and good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Terima kasih Bu Ellya,
Bu Ellya,
Bu
Bu
Gita.
Gita, dan Bu Oyin, and all participants. See you next week. And allow me to end this chat in 3, 2, 1. Stay safe, everyone. Goodbye.